I like the moves. Nice. Well, we have invited some young people to be part of our service today because there's just something about youth that allows us to access joy a little bit more. Sometimes as adults, we have to try a little bit harder, don't we? Not to let stuff get in the way. I was in Chicago not too long ago, and I was hanging out with my great nieces, Chloe and Maya. And like so many of the kids that are on the planet today, they just carry that wisdom of old souls. And so I was having a great time with my niece Chloe, and we were just being silly and goofy and then having great deep conversation. And so we went from taking pictures of our eyeballs and then photoshopping them in various ways. So now we have an entire eyeball gallery, but that's another story. But then she was telling me about somebody that she met in her class, and she said, you know, I just met her, but it feels like we're friends already. And I said, well, do you ever feel like you've known somebody before? And she said, yeah, that's just what it's like. And I said, well, do you think you've had a past life? And she said, well, I know I have. She said, in fact, I know about one of my past lives. And I said, really? I said, how do you know about one of your past lives? She goes, well, there's an app for that on my phone. Of course there is. So if you're curious, if you've lived before, apparently there's an app you can download that will help you find out exactly what your lifetime looked like then. Pretty soon we just won't even have to try it all, will we? Just download the app for whatever we want. Well, as we step into this Christmas season and as we look today at this quality of joy, you know, Jesus said that for to such as these, the kingdom of heaven belongs. And he was talking about children, but I think he was also talking about that ability to really hang on to joy and wonder, that ability to revisit our innocence, to see the miracles that are around us, to laugh, to play, to be in the spirit of joy. And the birth of the Christ is really about reclaiming that for ourselves as we move through this time and through this awareness. And do you know that Americans come in number 11 in a survey of worldwide humor? Number 11, that's kind of pathetic, isn't it? We are taking life way too seriously here, apparently. So what happened? You know, what happens to us between the time we're young and we can so easily access that ability to play and to just express that joyful spirit? Somewhere along the line, we are told to be cautious, to be careful, to behave. In the Talmud, it says, the Holy Spirit rests on him who has a joyous heart. Well, today we're going to explore ways that we can bring joy alive in our everyday experience and in our lives. You know, joy is not about what's going on around us or outside of us. Sometimes circumstances don't seem to be so joyous in our life. But joy is that quality that is always within us that we can call forth as we turn to that awe and wonder of the world around us, as we give ourselves fully over to it. A hospice nurse recently wrote an article about the things that people regret the most on their deathbeds. And one of them was that they worked too hard, didn't play enough, took it all too seriously. You know, it used to be we'd say, Mom, I'm going out to play. And now it's, honey, I'm on my way to work. What I want to know is, what happened to recess? Why is recess just a childhood concept? Is there any reason we couldn't reinstate recess in our day? I mean, think about how much fun it was when that bell rang and you got to run outside and you got to play tetherball or baseball or hang upside down from the jungle gym. You should try that. And I always loved it when it would rain and we'd have recess inside and we could get out the board games, or we would do crafts with Mrs. Flowers. And one indoor recess, we created a really killer dance to Crocodile Rock. The band surprised me after the first service with a rendition of that, so I'm not promising to replicate the moves, but you might want to stay and dance. Life is meant to be enjoyed. In Psalm 16, verse 11, it says, "You make known to me the path of life, and in the presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand, pleasures forevermore." Oriah Mountain Dreamer, in her book, The Invitation, says this: "I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human." She says that joy finds us and lifts us in ordinary moments if we allow it to. And the ecstasy we feel then when we open to life is not really very different from that we find in spiritual questing or mystical practices. She says real joy does not deny what is hard in our lives, but is a choice. Joy finds us when we feel the elation that comes when we know that we belong to another, to ourselves, to the world, to the mystery that is larger than ourselves. I taste the joy of belonging to and embodying the very life force of this universe. Inviting in joy. Well, the second thing that I would invite you to consider in embodying joy in your life is to invite in experiences and people that make you feel more alive. Those things in your life that just light you up, that set you on fire. The people that, when you're around them, make you feel just a little more alive. One of our favorite poets, Bob and I, David White, has a poem. It's actually, there was a quote of his that I came across first that I really loved that's at the end of this poem, and so I decided to look up the whole thing and share it with you. It's called "Sweet Darkness." "When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn that anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Because we are meant to live our lives full out. To surround ourselves with people who make us think more and feel more, to be in the experiences that excite us, that ignite our passions, to be in groups that are curious about life, around people who make you laugh. So I have a confession to make. I have an addiction to inspirational fridge magnets. And I'm hoping you don't think any less of me because of it. But I'm at the point where I'm going to pretty soon have to purchase a second refrigerator. So today, as I was thinking about this topic, I thought of a magnet that I keep on my fridge. It's a quote by Jack Kerouac. It says, "The only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars." Choose people in your life who make you feel alive, and be one of them. The third thing I would like to invite you to consider is to stop holding back. You know, I think that's the difference between when we start out as children and who we become as adults is that somewhere along the line we start to hold back. We start to hold back because we're told to be careful. We start to hold back because we think we're not enough. We start to hold back because we start to worry about what other people think. We're told to be serious, to grow up. But maybe we're not meant to hold back. Maybe we're not meant to be so serious. Maybe that expression of joy and love and exuberance that we had as a child is our natural way of being. That's why Jesus invited us to become like the children. Because that is our natural state, to say what's in our heart without reservation, to dance with wild abandon for no particular reason, to make believe. One of the people that makes me laugh on a regular basis is Ellen DeGeneres. See, you're laughing and I haven't even said anything yet. And Ellen shares a story about a time that she did an interview that she considers her most profound interview and life-changing, and one that invited her into a time of wonder and realizing that she is on the planet to do amazing things. This is what she says. I've learned in this business not to believe anything that I read or hear about anyone until I sit down with that person and hear it for myself. Fortunately, that's one of the perks of this business. You get to meet a lot of interesting people and you get to have a lot of interesting conversations. I've been lucky enough to meet the president and Oprah and Madonna and a lot of other fascinating people. So it was only a matter of time before I would meet God. And I have. What a day that was. Imagine my surprise when one afternoon I received an invitation with the return address, God in Heaven. Here's what it said inside. Ellen, please join me for fondue and Chablis. When? Saturday, May 3rd, 2 p.m. Where? My home. No need to RSVP. I'll know if you are coming. Now, normally I don't like Chablis, but this one was nice. It was dry with a peppery oak aftertaste. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I was nervous with anticipation for weeks, and then finally the big day arrived and I made my way over to God's house. I was led into God's living room and told to wait. Man, it was bright in there. Let me tell you, every lamp was on. It was crazy, crazy bright. And as I was sitting there, I started to think, I wonder what God dresses like. Does he wear the robes all the time like the Pope? I mean, he can't always wear that Pope outfit, can he? Once in a while, don't you think he throws on a pair of shorts and a tank and just, chills out? And then I started thinking, I wonder if I'm dressed appropriately to meet God. I mean, what are you supposed to wear to meet someone like that? Then I realized the obvious. God had seen me naked, so I just took my clothes off. So there I was, looking around the living room in front of me at the magazines on the coffee table and the poster on the wall of the kitten that says, hang in there, baby. And there were pictures of Jesus everywhere. You can't believe how many pictures of Jesus there were. A picture of Jesus on a pony with a cowboy hat. A picture of Jesus on the beach wearing a shirt that says, my parents created the universe and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. I started to get nervous. I'm going to meet God in just a minute, I thought. I don't even know how to greet God. Do I shake hands? Do I curtsy? Do I bow? Do I hug? I mean, I feel close enough to God to hug God, but a lot of people want to hug me, and I don't always want to hug them. So a couple minutes later, God walked in the room carrying a tray of fondue pot and a bottle of Chablis. I would say she was about 47, 48 years old. A beautiful, beautiful black woman. And we just immediately hugged. She smelled so good. She said it was Calvin Klein's obsession. We sat down and started drinking the Chablis and talking about the weather and what was going to happen to it. I asked her a bunch of questions I was curious about. What is the hardest thing about being God? Trusting people, she said. You never know if people really like you or if it's just because you're God. And people always want something from you. They want money, and then they want more money. That's all they ever ask for. She told me nobody ever thanks her anymore. The only people who thanked her were boxers and rappers, and that kind of confused her. Nobody cares about the miracles anymore, she continued. The miracles just go by unnoticed. Well, what was the last miracle? She started to cry, upset that I had to ask. It was the toilet that flushes automatically. Her eyes welled up with tears. Before that, it was the George Foreman grill. The fat just drips right off. Well, I guess it was the Chablis making me feel more relaxed or something, but I was loosened up enough to say, God, I have to admit it, but I really felt alone a lot. I felt like you didn't exist. I just didn't believe in you for a while. She said, well, do you remember that day you were walking on the beach? And I said, yeah. Well, I was there. And I said, but there was only one set of footprints. She said, that's because I was on your back. I said, I thought I felt heavy that day. I thought it was just water retention. She said, no, that was me. I was with you. Well, I'm not going to bore you with everything. We talked about so many things. She told me the meaning of life and things like that. Suddenly, in the middle of our conversation, she got up and gently put her arms around me and said it was time for me to go. She had another visitor arriving at 3:30. God explained that she had to wash out the wine glasses and prepare more fondue. As I waved goodbye to her, I had such a feeling of inner peace and tranquility. I got into my car and noticed that Henry Winkler was walking up to God's door. He gave me a funny look, but it might have been because I was still stark naked. But who cares? I felt free, finally having a clear picture of just how precious life is and why we shouldn't let ourselves be strangled by doubt and fear. I also learned something just as valuable. If I could meet God, I thought, I could meet just about anyone or do just about anything. There's no reason to live a life of regret. If it's really mine to do, if I truly believe, one day I really could learn how to macrame. I can only pray. We are meant to live full out, no regrets, no holding back, to be a fool for love, for the joy of it, for God. What if we stopped complete strangers when we were walking through the store and told them they looked stunning, or that we thought their eyes were kind? What if we walked down that toy aisle and pressed the little hand of the dancing Snoopy and danced along with him? Or laughed as we tickled Elmo? And don't believe what you see on the security cameras, that was not me. We spend so much of our lives as adults holding back. What if we gave ourselves permission to let go? To express what we felt in our hearts, to act on what we felt was alive in us. The fourth invitation today is to wear your party pants. There's a woman named Loretta LaRoche who wrote a book called Life is Short, Wear Your Party Pants. And she talks about how growing up, her mom always cautioned her to have the house clean every Saturday because you just never knew. To not eat all the food but have some leftovers because you just never know. She said it was certainly enough to make a child anxious. She said, I could deal with most of it, but I really had a hard time not being able to wear my patent leather shoes until Easter, especially since we had bought them in February. The only thing I was allowed to do was put Vaseline on them so they wouldn't crack. Well, that was fun. I kept begging to wear them, but my mother kept giving me the same answers. You know what she said, don't you? The thing that really pushed me over the edge, however, was the underwear. She always bought me the most hideous underpants. She said that they were on sale, and the clerk told her that they wouldn't wear out. Well, I don't know what the clerk thought I was going to be doing in them, going down into a mine shaft and not coming out for a month. Why did they have to be so sturdy? Why couldn't I just have the kind that were pretty and feminine with the little flowers and lace? Well, my mother finally had a weak moment and bought me a pair. I was ecstatic until she said that usual that I couldn't wear them often because you never know. She added that they were going to be my party pants. That didn't ease the pain. How many parties does a 9-year-old go to anyway? It's not as if I were a movie star or something. So the pants stayed in the drawer, surrounded by their ugly step underpants. I probably got to wear them twice. I still have them, they just don't fit. But today, Loretta wears her party pants all the time. And today may be the day that we get out our good china and use it for dinner. That we put on that outfit we've been saving for a special occasion, that we say the things we've been waiting for just the right time to say. It's time for us to live with joy in our hearts. That's what this season is about. And the last thing that I invite you to think about as we move through this Christmas season is reclaiming awe and wonder. You know, it's far easier for us to get cynical in this world, and there's plenty of people around us to remind us of that. But what if we saw through that? What if instead we looked for the miracles that were around us? What if we woke up and experienced every day as if it was brand new? Well, one of my inspirations during the Christmas season for remembering joy and wonder is Buddy the Elf. You see, Buddy the Elf accidentally ended up at the North Pole. He came from an orphanage, but somehow crawled into Santa's sack, and so he was raised by elves. However, Buddy was a little bit different, given that he was over 6 feet tall and couldn't make toys worth a darn. And so one day he overheard some of the elves talking about him and saying that he was human. So he went to Santa and he asked, "Who am I?" And Santa said, "Well, it's true. You were born in a place called New York and your dad still lives there. But I have to tell you, he's on the naughty list." That was not what Buddy wanted to hear. But Buddy decided he was going to go to New York and he was going to find his dad. He was going to go and see what this place where he came from was all about. And so before he left, Santa cautioned him not to eat the gum on the street, that it wasn't free candy, not to go in the peep show because it wasn't about seeing what presents you were going to have for Christmas early. And so Buddy traveled through the 7 layers of the candy cane forest and across the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops and through the Lincoln Tunnel and arrived in New York. So if you've been in New York or you have an image of New York, you know that it's a very busy place. It's a place where things are usually moving so fast that people don't have time to acknowledge one another or to look around to see the joy and wonder in their lives. But Buddy did. So I invite you to watch this clip with me, to connect with that part of you that is yearning to experience life with wonder. Well, you'll have to rent the movie if you want to see the rest of it. But what if we approach life that way? If we saw everything brand new through the eyes of that childlike spirit that lives in us? In the book of Isaiah, it says, "You will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will burst into song before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands." Let us embody the spirit of joy. Let us bring the Christ alive in us in each moment as we look upon life with joy and wonder. God bless you.